Subtracting decimals, non-traditional weight measurement. Infant Jill is not remaining still enough on the scale to get a good weight reading. So, the healthcare professional has decided to have Jill's mom hold Jill while obtaining the weight. Mom and Jill go onto the scale together, and the scale reads 195.3 pounds. However, the healthcare professional is not done yet. Next, she asks Jill's mom to get back on the scale by herself. According to the scale, Jill's mom weighs 188.28 pounds. The last step is to subtract Jill's mom's weight from the weight of both Jill and her mom. The remaining number will be what the baby Jill weighs. So when subtracting decimals, we must line up the decimal or place values. This is the same process we use in both subtracting whole numbers and in both adding whole numbers and decimals. It is important to note that we may need additional zeros so they will ensure that the numbers are lined up. Once again, we will place the decimal to the answer by bringing it straight down. So we start by writing the first weight of both Jill and her mother, 195.3, first. And then the second number of 188.28 directly below it. We'll line up those decimals. So we need to place a 0 on the whole to ensure that our number has lined up properly, which is after the 3. So now we can do 0 minus 8, but that's not possible. This means we need to borrow. So we cross out the 3, we make it a 2. And then we're going to put the 1. So now 0 becomes 10. So 10 minus 8 is 2. So now 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down that decimal straight down. Now we do 5 minus 8, which that's also not possible. So we need to borrow again. So we make the 9 into 8. And then we add the whole 1. So now we have 15. So 15 minus 8 is 7. 8 minus 8 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this means that infant Jill weighs 7 pounds point 2. So now in example 2, we have two numbers. So let's start by writing the number 7.03 on top. And then directly below it, we're going to put 1.052. So, like before, let's add a place value after the 3. So, because we can't subtract from 0 from minus 2, we will need to borrow. So let's borrow from the 3. We'll make that a 2. So now we have 10 minus 2, which is 8. 2 minus 5, which is not something we can do. So then let's look to 1 over to borrow. But that's actually a 0, right? And so we can't borrow from the 0. So we have to borrow from the 7. So we will make that 1 last to 6. We will add the 1 to the 10. But we need to borrow for the 2. So let's cross out actually the 10 and make it a 9. And then we're going to make that 2 become a 12. So 12 minus 5 is 7. 9 minus 0 is still 9. And then we'll bring straight down that decimal. 6 minus 1 is 5. So we have an answer of 5.978. And so when subtracting decimals, remember you must line up the decimals. Then you may need to add additional zeros to line up. And then we'll always make sure we bring that decimal straight down to the answer. Now that we've covered the basics about subtracting decimals, let's apply what we've discussed back to our non-traditional weight measurement scenarios. Kevin is in a wheelchair and he needs to have his accurate weight recorded. The healthcare professional asks Kevin to wheel onto the scale. The scale reads 308.25 pounds. The healthcare professional reads the weight of the wheelchair on the wheelchair's label. It reads 56.1. What does Kevin weigh? So in this, we will need to write down the total weight of Kevin in the wheelchair. So we write 308.25. Below it, we are going to write the wheelchair's weight, 56.1. And then we're going to add that 0 because we need a placeholder value. So now that we have lined up our decimals and our place values, we can now begin to subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. Bring down that decimal. 8 minus 6 is 2. 0 minus 5 is not something we can do, but we can borrow from the 3 to make that into 1 less, so that's a 2. And now the 0 becomes a 10. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 is just there, so we can just bring that straight down. So Kevin weighs 252.15 pounds. This is what we can write in the chart.